Roses are red, violets are blue. But I don't have a blue flower, so we're just going to keep going. This SBA loan just wasn't luck. It was trust, timing, and collaboration too. Welcome to Sweatpants and Strategy. Today we are doing our third part of the Valentine's Day series where I asked one of my favorite SBA lenders to pick her favorite borrower. And so today we're going to be discussing the entire process. We're treating it as a relationship. So the 4 parts of the relationship are the first date, second date, the commitment, and the outcome. So the first date, the intro call, the goals, figuring out if this is the right lender for you. Second date, financials come out, expectations are real. Trust starts to build. This is like one of the most important pieces. Now, we have the commitment, strategy, transparency, and teamwork. Working side by side through the SBA process and getting to know your lender. Fourth piece, the outcome. We're going to see how this business we're going to be talking about today, how it's doing. Is it thriving? So today I asked one of my favorite friends and former candidate, Kahla Miscavige. So she works for FirstTrust, and I placed her there, I think like almost 2 years ago. And she picked her favorite borrower as Andrew Ruba. He is the founder of Ironworks Fitness in Pennsylvania. And what makes his gym different is that, well, first, it's open 24 hours. It's built for early risers and night owls. Again, 24 hours. 100% safe. So here we go from first date to funded fate. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Kahla, for doing this with me. You guys are wrapping up part 3 of my Valentine's Day series. So we are going to jump right in. And Andrew, the first question is for you. So before we all get into this, tell me about Ironworks and who it's built for.
We're a strength gym in Philadelphia. We had one location closer to Center City, and it's basically built for people who are into strength training and physical fitness, and basically who want kind of like a more minimalistic approach to it. So our business is set up so that members can get into the gym 24 hours through key fob or app access and handle most of their communications through us via email and chat. What we were trying to do is we had one location in Center City, and then we had the opportunity to move into a bigger space or get into a bigger space for our second location, and that's where Kahla really helped us get started in expanding that part of the business.
That's awesome. So when you decided to grow and needed funding, tell us the story of what brought you two guys together. So this is like a first date. So my whole podcast up this Valentine's Day, how did you guys come together?
Yes, so I I went around to a lot of banks trying to find a partner that would really be good and sort of see the vision that we were trying to have and kind of have the proper risk appetite for the type of business that we were to really support us in this expansion. So like I said, I went around to several banks, maybe somewhere between 5 and 10 banks, and just talked to the lenders at those banks to see like what they were interested in, if this was a deal that they would be interested in doing with us. And eventually I came across, I was put in contact with Kahla, and it seemed like it was a good fit right away because they were really focused on growing small businesses basically. So their risk appetite was pretty comfortable with that of a small business, and they were really familiar with how small businesses work compared to other institutions where it was clear that they were looking for a more easy or straightforward deal.
So Kayla, that brings me to you. What kind of deal was it? What made it difficult? If it was difficult, and what stood out about this business that you were like, yeah, I'm going to do it?
Well, I would say, the great thing about Andrew is he already had a location. So we knew he already had the industry experience, the knowledge. He was successfully running his first location. And the opportunity that he was looking at was in a great area. It was underneath, a new condominium building that was being built. So he would be the gym on the first floor. So the opportunity that he had just in that building alone to have the tenants that were living in the condominium coming down, we knew that this was a great strategic move for him. And then looking at his business model, what he was bringing to the table, and then how we could expand on that for him, just saw so much potential and growth for him. The deal just made sense. And we just wanted to make sure that not only did we get the deal done for him, but we would make sure we were setting him up for success in the future to only grow more and more.
All right, so you meet Kahla. You guys on the first date. Things are vibing, things are going well. Then we're off to the second date where you guys are building trust. And so, Andrew, what helped make you feel comfortable moving forward with Kahla?
I just felt like they understood the business and the business model that we had. Like I said, other lenders, they probably were looking for something very specific in their mind, and they weren't really considering the details of a small business or the way a small business works. So it just didn't seem like a good fit with other places. So when Kayla and some of her colleagues were talking with me, it felt like they really understood where we were coming from, what we were trying to do, and how we were trying to plan this new deal. So I think
Yeah,
that's the main reason why we went with them.
getting to know Kahla as a former candidate of mine, what strikes me different from just any other video, she's real. She tells it like it is. And I felt like the first time I talked to you, Kahla, like we were friends for like ever.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about our kids. I'm like, well, what about this? And what about that? And I know like you and your partner have like 6.
Yeah.
So it's
Hmm.
just kind of like, how do you manage? Well, that's another separate question, but having that and knowing that you're such a good, relationship builder, how do you build trust? Well, I know the answer, but let's hear it from you.
Well, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head when you say, I want to be real. If I'm looking at a deal and I don't see the opportunity of, maybe how we could make this work or get it done, I'm going to be upfront and honest with my borrower. I'm not going to make them go through all the loops and hoops and try to throw something up against the wall for them and hope it sticks, because that's not going to build a good relationship at all. With Andrew in mind, when I took a look at his deal, he's right. It was a little bit riskier. It's a gym. It's highly concentrated industry. This is a startup. It has no historical financials to go off of. It just had a business plan. But when I sat down with Andrew and we talked, and I said, tell me about your gym. Tell me what the vision is. What are you trying to get done here? And understanding how I can execute it. I think it's all about being honest and upfront and saying, hey, look, it's not a good fit right now, but if you do X, Y, and Z, we can always take a look at this in another time, or just giving them another avenue or an opportunity. But I think I'd rather be honest and truthful and, say no and then come back to me another time than, maybe mislead them and then have to tell them no. And it just burns the bridge right from the gate, which I don't like to do. It's just not my style. It's not my thing. I wouldn't want somebody to do it to me. So I try to go with that motto, with my clients and the prospects that I'm interviewing and potentially moving forward with for a loan.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, totally when I think about you, I think about how you were just like dynamic. You were different. And as soon as I spoke to you, I knew exactly where I was going to put you. So you made it, man, you made it easy. So we're good about that. So I loved working with you. It was really so fun.
And it was the great fit. You that you did. You picked right, because I'm happy. I'm in a great spot. Work for a great company, a great financial institution that truly supports their customers. That's all you can really hope for when you're doing this job, is that you have the backing of a financial institution that's truly going to believe in their prospects and their customers and see the vision to make it come to life.
Yeah, because that's true. Talking about the process, Andrew. So as you were dealing with Keela, once you start the process, Andrew was talking to other members of the bank, right? Correct? Underwriter, closer.
Yeah. When Andrew came to me, he was very upfront and honest about the fact that he had been looking at several different financial institutions and the opportunities that he was presented or not presented. And when he came to me, he was very honest, like, here's the feedback I've been getting. And, I said, no problem. Let's just take a look at it. Let me see what I'm up against. Let me see if I agree with what they're saying. And let me see if I see any value here where I can make a difference to help you succeed in what you're trying to do, expand and grow, and get you what you need to make the dream happen.
Kayla, you should like run a class. Like, here's how to do a BDO steps 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then Andrew, so that talking to Kayla, getting the gist of what's going to happen. How is that? Because you're kind of going into the process. What was that like?
Yeah, let me try to think back. The main issues at the time I think were probably that that location has to start fresh with new member base. So we weren't like buying a business that already had cash flow and financials that it could look at. So I think that was the main, if I remember right, that was the main barrier for a lot of the other lenders.
Even though you had an existing location that was profitable?
Yes. So there's not a lot of crosstalk between the locations because members generally will go to a gym that's within 1 to 2 miles of their house, at least in the city. People travel a little bit more outside the city, but when you are opening a new location, you often are just starting from zero in terms of membership base. So we did need a part of the budget to go towards like operating capital so that we could run the business until it was profitable. And I think that's something that they had a good handle on. And that's what I mean when I say they had a good handle on how small businesses run and what their needs are.
Yeah, and the risk too there was it was a brand new building. So what happens if, this condominium doesn't stabilize their tenants and get every condo occupied? How is he going to draw the business and bring the business in if that's going to be a key player in the revolving door of customers that he has? So it was a risk, but when we looked at the dynamics, we looked at the logistics, we looked at the geography, the competition in the area, no one had a model that Andrew had, which really geared towards people like nurses and doctors and overnight shifts, that it's giving them the capability to work out even if their time frames and their shifts aren't aligning with the normal 9 to 5. And I truly love that model because as a mom myself, I'm not working out till late at night or super super early in the morning because that's the only time I could really fit that in, and I could kind of relate to his model a little bit. So I saw the vision a little bit more, which I think when you can kind of relate and understand and say, oh, I could totally see myself being a customer, then it really helps you mold the opportunity.
Yeah, being a 24-hour gym. I mean, look, I live in the sticks and my gym is like 10 minutes away from me, and they are 24/7, and I do love that flexibility that I can go in anytime. And being a mom, it's really hard, and but I love that model, and I love how it offers the opportunity for, the early risers and for us to like just even go whenever we want to. So that's what I love.
I jumped in the basement and it feels 20 minutes away. So
I mean, I have a Peloton I haven't used. I should probably use it. Andrew, so when did this business open?
So we opened our first location in 2019, right before COVID started, and then survived COVID, and we were open for 3 or so years until we opened our second location. The 24-hour business model makes it so that you can really keep expenses low, and I try to keep the business efficient, not letting too many expenses explode and take over. So there was a period of about like 6 to 8 months, I think, where we were basically shut down completely, and yeah, we were just running on the bare bones budget, and we just were able to scrape by in that time.
Was it like a PPP situation, or did you get funding for that through the 6 to 8 months, or?
We got a little bit of funding, if I remember, but we weren't open. I think PPP, if I'm remembering right, was only available for businesses that had some type of historicals, and we opened like let's just say we didn't qualify for that, if I'm remembering right. The details are a little fuzzy now, but I
No,
think they were looking for businesses with historicals, and we didn't have them because we had just opened basically.
the fact that you guys survived it, And, coming from, I don't know, like in your little area, Kayla, like a lot of gyms, businesses, like they're done. So yeah, so the fact that you made it, that's like a consideration in itself. A good business plan. You know what I mean? So all of what we're talking about right now, right? It's about the process. You guys are working together, getting to know each other. Actually, my question is to you, Kayla. Like all in all, what does a strong lender borrower partnership look like while you're doing an SBA loan? I know Andrew kind of like described it and everything too. So as you're working with every borrower, I know your approach is different. So how do you adapt to like different people, and how do you gain that, that next step, that trust, and how do you work with different people, and what does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's different. Everybody has a different style. And even when your clients are coming to you, everybody kind of has a different outlook. You might have borrowers who've been in business for 30 years trying to buy a piece of real estate, or you might have somebody like Andrew who's completely starting from ground zero, fresh new business, solely based off of projections. When I'm talking with them, when I'm meeting with a borrower, it's honestly the first step is just sitting down with them and trying to truly understand what the business is, who they are, and the why behind it. Because the why is really, I feel like, very crucial. You're trying to understand what is making you want to do this and why do you want to get to X, Y, and Z. And I think once you really listen and then apply it, that's when you get the trust. And then there are times too where I have borrowers like Andrew on the second location, where he's like, "Listen, I'm talking to other financial institutions." Okay, well, what did they offer you? Are they making sure that not only are they giving you the funds and the means that you need to do and execute your plan, but are they making sure that you have enough working capital to sustain the first 6 to 12 months? Because honestly, with a startup, you're going to be getting hit with a lot of first time expenses in your first year that you're not anticipating. So are they making sure that you're set up for success? Because I feel like if you're not setting up your borrowers for success, it's just going to not be a good process from start to finish.
I'm doing another podcast, and you're on it, and we're going to talk about from beginning to end. I love that. That was like the best answer ever, because like it was, you're honest, you're sitting down with the expectations. And Andrew, right? Wasn't that like refreshing? Like you guys are like totally at this step, you're in it, right?
Mhm.
From this, like, was there? Well, you're in it. So at this point, were there any like oops, or were there any challenges getting it done, or any like
I
yeah
would
any?
say Andrew is like the perfect candidate for a client that every lender wants. So he's like an anomaly that most people don't get. So when he called me for the third location, I was like, absolutely, let's do it.
We're gonna go on a third date, and we're gonna get this down. I am committed. Well, yeah, like it's good. You're committed. You're like at the finish line, and so when you guys kind of like the second location, you close on it, right? What
Yeah.
was that? Like, yeah, I did it. Like, yeah, dude, get it.
I feel like it was relief getting it to the finish line because, this was Andrew, Andrew owns his first location with his brother, but the second and the third Andrew owns solely by himself. So it was exciting to see Andrew kind of take this next step and really grow the business model he built with his brother, but doing this on his own. So I was happy that I could be a part of it. And then when he called me for the third location, I'm like, this is a no brainer. I know the business, know the industry, and I know you. So this is like going to be extremely more than efficient because we've already been here.
What, Andrew? What was it like going out on your own? That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, we had a good sense of what the business model was. The challenges of growing the business are definitely learning to manage, and then scale becomes a little bit of a problem because when you have hundreds and thousands of members kind of, asking questions, you can't handle that all on your own. So you have to learn how to build the right team around you to be able to support that. And right now we have a pretty good team in the business that is able to really keep the operations running pretty well while I can focus on the growth.
Wait, what you just said? You have a good team.
Hmm.
Everything is lined up, right?
Yeah.
When did the
Yeah.
third location open?
So we didn't actually open yet. We closed on the loan, and this one involved real estate. So we closed on that in December, and we are basically in the startup phase. You know, we have to do a renovation. We have to order our equipment, which has a lead time, and we have to obviously increase the team a little bit more to handle that location. But that's all happening right now, and then we'll probably open maybe in March or so.
Wow, congratulations on that. But
Thanks.
like on the third location where you're like, oh, I don't know, maybe yes, no, yes, no, yes, but you're solid to go on the third location. So what? But you were ready, right? Like, yeah, you want this, you want to make it grow, and
Hmm.
so Kayla makes it easy for you. Well, not easy, but everything is a process, and
As easy as it can be. Yeah.
as it
Yeah.
No,
can be. But growing your business too, that's kind of scary, you know? But
mhm.
it's good to have like a lender that you're comfortable with, that you're committed to, and that's really hard to find actually. So, I mean, I've heard a lot of stories where borrowers get the loans done and it just goes awry, but
Mhm.
I've heard that lately more because of all the default and everything, but it's good. Like I love the fact that you guys are doing this and telling your story, and but definitely like growing a business, it's kind of like whew. I mean, yeah. But
Mhm.
um but I guess we're kind of like past the commitment, right? You guys closed on the loan what? In December?
In
Yeah.
December, yeah, right before the holidays. So it was a
Mhm.
nice little Christmas present.
So I was gonna say like so okay, we're closed. We got it done. What was that feeling like? Yeah.
Well, this was
Right?
exciting because the first one we did was a leasehold build out, but this was the third location was him actually buying the real estate himself, and it was a great location with minimal, renovations needed. Just really just kind of fitting out the space to meet the needs of the gym. But I mean, the real estate itself just made sense, and the location is phenomenal. So when he called me, I was like, "Oh, this is exciting. We're like every deal, we're gonna like move up, and do something different."
Everything. That's fun. And so at
Yep.
the end of, well, we're not there yet, but at the end of the episode we'll put up your website. So you guys closed, and so basically like yeah, you're done. You guys you made it. And so after, kind of like we go from like the takeaways, right? So Andrew, advice for borrowers starting their SBA journey. I love that. That's so good.
For other borrowers, maybe I think one of the easiest things you can do to really like make the process easier on yourself is probably to learn a little bit about the financials and how they work. Some of the basic financial statements and like a P&L and a balance sheet, some of the basic things that the bank is going to be looking for because that'll help you like speak their language a little bit more. Besides that, like they'll also work with you. They're pretty willing to work with you also. So, there's a give and take, but learning a little bit, getting a little bit more financially literate, I think is helpful. And, just being able to communicate the vision clearly is important.
So you feel like that's half of what makes it that's what makes it for you, Kayla. I want you to do the loan, like the
Yeah.
passion.
When you have borrowers that come to you and you start the process, most small business owners, they're phenomenal at what they do. But, when it comes to maybe doing a 3-year projection P&L or creating a business plan is not their niche. That's, where we're able to, as lenders, step in and say, hey, look, here's what you need to do. And if you have any questions, like don't hesitate to reach out. What Andrew and I kind of focused on a lot during those initial documents was here's what we're looking for, and this is what we want to see. And Andrew was great because he really did his due diligence ahead of time before he even came to me. So he kind of had a good understanding of what I was looking for before we even spoke. And then I just kind of enhanced it essentially make sure that the bank could see the vision and understand and get the information that they wanted to see as well.
Did you, Andrew? Did you have a business plan?
Yeah, we made a business plan for our definitely our first location, and of course we deviated from it in some ways, but a lot of the big parts are still there. And as part of the loan process, the bank asks for business plans for each location. So you tailor it a little bit to match the market that you're trying to attract in each of the new locations. But yeah, we did a business plan.
I'm sure that helped, right, Kayla? Like, is it that often when you meet with a borrower? Like, how often is it that they don't have a business plan?
That's not very, like, not uncommon, because usually when they come out there and they contact me, some of the borrowers, are like, listen, I'm just trying to get my feet wet and see, like, what this process is going to look like and what you're going to need so I can start gathering those things. I see that very, very often. And that's just an easy conversation to say, hey, look, here's what we need. I could try to give them as much tools as I possibly can to help them, make it simplified and more easier for them. But it's honestly not that uncommon, especially for business owners that are currently active and up and running and have historicals. They don't realize, even though they are a business entity that's already up and running, you still need to have business plans. We can understand the vision of giving the funds and where the funds are going and what the funds are going to.
I did an episode with Rapid Business Plans, and so they said it was more common than not where, borrowers come into a bank and they're like, what? This plan? Like, and Andrew, you said that, and Kayla, that FirstTrust needs a business plan. Like, they want a business plan before they start the loan.
Yeah, it just helps, tell the story, one, who they are, what they do, the management team, the ownership team, and what they bring to the table and how they make this business successful, why they need the funds, and post, acquisition, what is this going to look like on a 3-year standpoint? How are you going to grow this business? How are you going to scale it and make it more profitable and successful? And we need to understand that, because if we don't understand it, how are we going to be able to support it? So it's very key that a business plan is in place. We prefer it ahead of time, but sometimes, we have to kind of walk them through that.
Yeah, because it prepares you to what to expect. It's like, yeah, it's a plan, step by step,
Yeah.
right?
I typically like to provide my clients, if they don't have one, I'll provide them with a score template. Swear by that template because I feel like it checks every box for what the SBA and the banks are looking for. A little redundant, but it gives my borrowers an idea of what we need to say.
Yeah, but that's just an extra step on helping the borrower understand like what you're looking for. So that's kind of cool.
Exactly.
And I don't know a lot of videos that do that. So yeah, good for you. Advice on finding the right lender. What would you say to business owners right now? And what advice would you give them on finding the right lender?
I would say do your due diligence. Try to understand the SBA process, the SOP, what SBA is looking for ahead of time. And then also do your due diligence with the terms that they're offering you. Because what I see a lot is business owners accept a term sheet, start a process with the bank, invest some money in, business appraisals, business evaluations, real estate appraisals, and then they get bait and switch. And the terms change, and that's not what they agreed upon. And that's a scary thing for borrowers because they get this proposal and they're like, I like the terms, and then they're almost at the stages and the terms completely change on them. So just making sure that, you have a good lender that's being truthful and honest and supportive, but not hiding the things that borrowers don't want to necessarily agree to. You have to be upfront and honest. Hey, listen, unfortunately, you're going to have to do X, Y, and Z. I know you don't want to do it, but this is a requirement. And I try to make that known upfront and not at the end, because I don't think that's a good relationship or, experience for anybody involved.
Well, I mean, it sounds like you guys, good experience. I mean, look, Keela, I really I think you're one of the best. And, sitting here with you, I loved getting to know you better and your approach. I think it's dynamic. I think it's original. And Andrew, like, you're the perfect borrower. He looks like Andrew, you look like you do everything. Kayla's like, let's do 5 jumping jacks, and you're gonna do like 6. So it's a dynamic, and I think that the relationship that we see here is something that ended up with positive results, and I'm glad that you guys joined me on this today. It was kind of like interesting to hear about the journey, you know, and the closing and everything that happened.
Yeah, thanks for having us on,
No, I
especially
mean,
for Valentine's Day week.
so we'd have to say happy Valentine's Day. So yeah, I mean, thank you guys for doing this with me and Andrew. The website.
Yeah. So our website is www.ironworks.fitness, and you can check out our gym locations and the membership options and where we're at.
Awesome. So we'll post that at the end of the podcast. And happy Valentine's Day, you guys. And thank you for joining me.